12th Agile Principle. Welcome to Scrum Positive. This is Vinod Narayan. Thanks for tuning in. Please do subscribe to the channel. I'll read the 12th principle. This is the last Agile Principle. They always keep the best one for the last, I would say. And this is something that's a favorite of mine. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. It's about the retrospective. It's about looking back. At the end of the sprint, you kind of figure out what went well, what did not go well, and what can be improved. There are different ways you can do a retrospective. But it's so important, and there are so many teams that I've seen do it just because they have to do it. And I recently read where someone called it the zombie scrum, which means you're doing it just like zombies. Everywhere you're listing it. And I've done it. I'm equally guilty of doing that in some places. And after some time what happens is that people kind of lose their interest in doing this activity. They find this 1 hour of retrospective at the end of the sprint difficult, a waste of time. Because they think either we don't have anything good to say about what we're doing. Even if we say we have some problems, no one is addressing it. We still have work to do in the sprint and we don't have time for these stupid meetings. Many reasons, right? But it's so important. Now, from a Scrum perspective, if you have the experience of retrospectives are not effective and all those things, let's keep that aside and look at it from a personal perspective. Every day, when you go to sleep, you kind of reflect on the day. What happened well? What happened good? Oh, I should not have said that. Oh, that was good. And you get an idea of how your day has been. And then tomorrow, up in the morning, when you get up and you plan for the day, you say that, yesterday when I reflected, I found that these are the things that I should probably address today. And so your planning gets impacted because you did a good reflection. And think about that, doing that on a weekly, bi-weekly, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. Why do we reflect on the year, the end of new year, end of the present year? And then why do we create all these plans for the new year? What is the point in creating plans without reflecting on how the year went by, without knowing what mistakes you made, without knowing what worked, and without knowing what you're going to improve in the next? Why do you think most of the New Year resolutions kind of end by January? Because they're not based on data. They're not based on data that, okay, right, I did this and I achieved this. I did not do this and this is the way it impacted my life. And if I have that data, I will be better in a way when I put a New Year resolution. Now switch it straight into Scrum or a sprint. You're doing a sprint, you don't do a retrospective, you get back to planning, you start doing planning and committing on something, but you don't know how the last sprint really went. You have a thought, the other person has a thought, the third person has a different thought, but you don't have a synchronized view of how the sprint went through. So that's why it's so important. If your planning has to be good, if your next sprint has to be good, you have to put some effort to retrospecting the current sprint. And that's why it's important. And sometimes it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. You can use tools. So one of the things that I've used is I've used retrospective boards where you have KPIs and you kind of do it. We'll get to. I'll explain that once down the line. Some of the tools that we go through. Another thing that I've done is using some tools like Anonymous. People put their thoughts and the questions they have, like different formats. Like instead of what went well, what did not go well, and what could be improved, they have the start, stop, continue kind of things. Start doing these things, stop doing these things, or continue doing these things, like stuff like that. So I think these are the different ways to make retrospective. There's an interesting book. Let me see. I'll show you probably when I talk about retrospective. I'll take that book, and it's on retrospective. It's a very interesting book, and you can read a lot on Medium and other YouTube channels as well. And being skilled in doing your retrospective is going to add a lot of value to your teams. That's why I think we cannot finish that in one video. So we're going to have different sessions in different methods of retrospectives and everything as we move forward. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do it. The whole idea is that in bite-sized, I come to you with some knowledge about Scrum, some experience I share, some questions we together try to answer. And if you have questions, please share it. You can also send me an email, scrumpositive@gmail.com. I'll see you all next week. So we have done 12 weeks. We have done the 12 Agile Principles. Now we'll get into something interesting. Maybe I don't have anything right now, but there are some interesting things that will come in the next few days. You guys take care. Thank you.